Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis. Really excited to be here with none other than Larry Dodson, lead singer of the Bar-Kays for essentially 5 decades, producer and also round actor. Just incredible, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in his career. One of the most exciting things about this gentleman is that he continues to remain humble and approachable. It's been delightful getting to know him off the camera, and we're looking forward to a big concert he's putting on this weekend here in California, celebrating not only music, but funk music at that. Welcome, young man.
How are you, my friend? How are you, Doc?
A pleasure.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here, man.
Yeah. I got to roll back the clock, though.
Okay.
There's some people that say that they chose music, others say music chose them. What would you say?
You know what? I'm going to tell you, I really would say that music chose me. Mm-hmm. It's been in my heart, my soul. Yeah. As far back as I can remember, washing dishes, having my father and mother close the door because I'm singing, Temptation songs and all sorts of stuff. And then in high school, I started a group called the Temprees that went on to make a lot of big records, dedicated to one I love. Oh yeah, we were Temptation imposters, but they went on to have a really incredible career. Yeah, sure. yeah. But it's been in my soul, man.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about that time because you were growing up, and this was really, really early. And what was it like to be in Memphis in the '60s? It's obviously before King had passed.
Sure.
What was it like, sort of being on the streets and really sort of breaking into music, so to speak, at that time in the '60s?
Doc, Memphis has been a music mecca, for 60 years or greater, birth of the blues, there's so much talent there. And I remember growing up on any corner at any time of day or night, it was just music everywhere, all night long. And then, of course, home of Stax Records, home of Isaac Hayes, Otis Redding, Sam and Dave, Johnny Taylor, and the list goes on and on, the Bar-Kays and Booker T and the MGs. It was amazing, man. And music Memphis is a very friendly city, even though we've had some tough things that happen in Memphis along the way, it is a very inspiring city, man. Yeah, so it got me a long time ago. Now, and I've been living in Memphis all my life, man. Married to a wonderful woman. We just sharing off camera. We just celebrated our 54th wedding anniversary, and that's something.
Congrats! Hard to believe, especially
hard to believe,
right?
Absolutely.
Another thing I wanted to tease out, though, about Memphis is so amazing is your transition from doo-wop. Talk to us about why that spoke to you, and then this transition into ultimately funk music, because that's not something that everybody might appreciate.
Well, probably everybody doesn't know, because very few people, well, I take that back. People have, over the years, I've done so many interviews, people have gotten to understand that I am the originator of the Temprees, but at the time, for those who don't know, at the time that I joined the Bar-Kays in 1970, the Bar-Kays, just a very, very fortunate, great group, but their very first record while in high school was a record called Soul Finger. But they were an instrumental group. They didn't have a singer.
Exactly.
I was floored, man, one Sunday night when James Alexander came to a club that we were playing, and he caught us on a break, and he asked me what I consider being the front man for the Bar-Kays. Man, the lump in my throat and the knot in my stomach. I mean, you know what, to be quite honest with you, I really didn't think, first of all, I didn't think they were ever gonna have a singer. And then I didn't think I was the guy, the Bar-Kays were like superstars, and not only in Memphis, but all over the country. 14, 15 years old, man, with a #1 record, not only in Memphis, but across the nation. Soul Finger. So that was 30 albums ago, man. It's been a wonderful career, and that Sunday night started something that changed my life. It changed my life.
Talk to us about that friendship, because James, one of the greatest bass players that ever lived.
Sure.
How did that evolve over time?
Well, the original Bar-Kays happened to be the backup band for Otis Redding, and unfortunately, 4 of the members of the original Bar-Kays were killed in the same plane crash that took Otis's life. But James, when James reformed the band, he was carrying out the wishes of what they had said to one another. If anything ever happened to them, the remaining members, they had made a pact they would reform the group or continue. And James opted to get a singer, and he and I have been friends since then. I mean, we've been lifelong friends. He's a great guy, and we had a camaraderie that still exists today, you know. Things have changed a bit, and we'll maybe get into that a little later. But the whole band, we've always been a close-knit band. It was unfortunate that 40 guys were killed. James was, the reason he wasn't on the plane was because after every performance, the private plane of Otis only held a certain amount of people, so somebody had to stay back to turn the rental cars in. And it was just James' time to do that, and God's will, you know. Yeah, absolutely. And Ben went down with the crash. Ben called the trumpet player. Couldn't swim, but God had his hands on him, man. Yeah. He survived the crash. After I joined, he stayed in the band for about a year, but Ben was a little older than we was. And he had a family at that time. And you know, we weren't making a lot of money. We were making a lot of music, but not a lot of money.
Sure,
So he had obligations, and he left the band. But you know, the band played on.
Sure, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like there's also some trauma, like just post-traumatic, that he went through, continuing to try to fly after being in a situation like that.
I would sit next to Ben on the plane, and it was like it hit an iron grip, man. And I understood it, you know, having had that traumatic experience of going down in a plane and just being so very fortunate that God had his hands on him to save his life, and he could swim. He held onto a plane to a cushion, and that saved his life. And he was never the same, though. He was never the same.
Yeah. And what a vision to already think ahead that if something should happen, that they wanted the group to continue, and the amount of time that's continued.
You're absolutely right. Those guys were very, 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 very close. During that time, I was in doo-wopping, but I passed with Cross. You know, we would be on the same concerts, and they thought ahead. You know, they did plan out a lot, and Bar-Kays, God and the Bar-Kays have been like this. Yeah, God has had his hands on that group, on this group, since the very beginning. And even through all the tragedies and all the adversities that we've had, the band has played on. We've done some amazing things, man.
Well, since you brought up that title again, let's talk about the title of your book, because it's very, very close to that.
Absolutely. That's right. That's what it's called. My book is called And the Band Plays On. My son, I take no credit. He and I would sit in the table in the mornings, and I would tell him about all these old war stories that we'd have riding on the bus and doing things. And he said, "Papa, you got so much history in your head. Why don't you write a book?" And I'd never done anything like that. So I stepped out on faith. I said, "Well, let me just keep some notes, and maybe I'll think about it." And it took about a year, but I actually wrote things in that book that I had not shared with anybody. It was very therapeutic for me to tell my story, even before I joined the Bar-Kays and afterwards, because I a few years ago, I took a hiatus, and I kind of retired a little bit, if you want to call it unofficially. Yeah, well, now I look back on it, I say, I just took a break. Because you know, everybody knew it wasn't going to work. There we go. And the book is titled And the Band Plays On, written in real time, and it's an amazing book, and we can't keep them. People love the book. It's a good read, it's a short book. I didn't bring anybody else's trash in there. It's all about me. It's all about me. But it's a backstage pass to my life, and it's also very informative because I got a chance to tell people how all the records came about, who wrote it, and the traumatic things that happened along the way, and the good things. But there were more good things than bad. We've been an amazing band. 20 top 10 records, gold and platinum albums. So it's been wonderful, man.